Since there is now a plethora of information on and theories speculating about the Mandela effect, I'll forego that explanation and dive right into examining this example. The lyrics of Phil Collins' iconic original song, In the Air Tonight, have become an area of contention in which people have posited that Phil used to sing the words, "Hold on," in the parts of the tune where he now very clearly says, "Oh Lord." How does something like this even come up for debate? Firstly, sound imprints on the human brain more absolutely than visual imagery. But without debating the finer points of the human psyche, and I'm looking at all you confabulators when I say that, let's quickly consider a popular quote-unquote misconception regarding the song's meaning.
First of all, In the Air Tonight is, I went through only a handful of your hits, and you're just amazing. You have this new box set, the singles, which is also on vinyl, which I love that you're doing on vinyl.
These are all the singles.
In the Air Tonight is the one, I mean, it just sticks in my head because that's the...
That's got a life of its own. I mean, that will outlive me. I think that song.
No, well, that could be the sequel to, that could be your next autobiography. Yeah, this book will outlive me. But is this true that this is what happened? This is what I heard. You were outside at night, and there was you saw someone drowning,
No.
and he didn't, and he let him drown. He let him drown, and you go, oh, and you watched the man basically murder somebody. And then, so instead of calling the authorities, you invited the stranger to your concert, and then...
Shone a light on him,
you shone a light on him. And you sang In the Air Tonight, and you go, I know what you did, buddy. Oh, my God.
Okay.
That is the best story I've ever heard of.
I know. Unfortunately, none of it's true.
So, why the misconception? People seem to remember a very powerful story in which a young Phil Collins looked on helplessly as another young man drowned another boy of their same age. Phil bottled up the experience, reflecting on how the respective positions of himself and the drowned boy could have easily been reversed. Years later, Phil saw the man that drowned the other boy in front of him and finally wrote In the Air Tonight after that reunion. One lady I spoke with adamantly remembers seeing an interview in which Phil explained just this in an increasingly emotional state as the interview goes on. So much so that the woman interviewing him felt compelled to reach out and touch his arm in a gesture of comfort, and this was what was so striking to the person I spoke with. I have been unable to discover any such interview. According to Phil Collins, he improvised the lyrics completely, writing them out of anger developing from a nasty divorce that he was going through at the time. Keep this in mind for later because it comes back as we examine the following residuals. In the very beginning of the In the Air Tonight official video, Phil's arm is outstretched, palm open. The gesture implies someone comforting or wanting to help someone else, beckoning that other person to hold on. In the background we see an unfamiliar face. Phil's image shatters in the foreground, and we see the face in the background was Phil Collins all along. Remember, in the story that doesn't exist, Phil realizes that he and the drowned boy are inherently the same. Either one of them could have been in the other's respective position. This imagery comes back into play later as well. An image of a shrouded male figure, notice this is not a woman, i.e. Phil's ex-wife, later turns into Phil himself as well. We then see Phil reaching out to a reflection of himself later on in the video. The imagery of Phil reaching out occurs again and again in the official vid. Most importantly, at the end, during the part of the song where the lyrics are contended to be "Hold On." And when he finally touches his own reflection, it had been in a pool of water in the window of his own memory. Check out this live performance in which another residual arises in this same vein.
The last time we ever met.
What is Phil looking up at? Is it the Lord that he's calling out to so many times in the tune? He doesn't seem to have any problems remembering that bit throughout. But if so, why does he do it after he says, the first time, the last time we ever met? Maybe he was looking up at a loose stage light out of fear it'd fall on his head. Maybe he was looking up for the boy that he watched drown. For all intents and purposes, the man himself seems like he could give two shits about any meaning that people find in his most famousest song of all times.
Barking seals. That's what it sounds like.
Also, I just want to really quickly go over how this seems to coincide with other word changes due to the Mandela effect. So looking at both of the phrases, you can see that they contain a 4-letter word and a 2-letter word, just in the respective cases they've been transposed in position. Now you'll also notice that the words contain almost the exact same letters. Take into account now the fact that a lowercase r is just a chopped up lowercase n, and the switcheroo seems even more feasible considering all the other examples. Finally, people have cited that the lyrics don't even make sense the new way. Phil is holding on because he can feel the moment he's been waiting for his whole life coming in the air tonight. So, which is it?